Hey, hi everybody. Welcome to another installment of Clarity Edge. Today, we will be talking about conflicts and how they actually happen and how they escalate. Now, if you are tuning in for the first time, do let me know if I can hear you. Sorry, let me know if you can hear me because I'm operating on a new system here. Yeah, right. If you can't hear me, drop me a WhatsApp on my phone so that I know or message me or mention it. Now, if you want to tune in to our program, you can tune in every Tuesday at 8 p.m. You can see there's a link below. And yeah, let's just take it from there. All right, so what are we talking about here today? Today we're talking about how conflicts escalate, right? A little bit about this program, what we are all about. We are Clarity Edge, where it's a weekly program where we talk about pro tips regarding business development and growth. So yeah, if you want to check it out, yeah, do tune in to us weekly. Can be um, everything can be detected on YouTube if you want. Everybody can be seen on YouTube. Okay. Now, what do we do every week? We help clarity seekers seek clarity through simplicity and ultimately helping them achieve profitability. Yep. So if you can hear me, please do indicate in the comments below. Yeah, if you have any questions, any comments, please do check in with us as well. All right. Now, what are we talking about here today? We talk about a few things. We talk about what is conflict. We talk about a conflict escalation model, a model that I use personally when I come to thinking about challenges and problems within organizations and people. And we'll talk about pro tips, tips that you and I can apply immediately to prevent escalation. Now, we will not be talking about how to de-escalate. And that will be topic for another conversation or another opportunity. But hey, let's just go. If you think this topic is interesting, you want to ask more questions, you want to do more, yeah, sure. Just indicate, and I will see what I can do. All right. So first thing we start, as with all things, we always begin with definitions. What is conflict? Right. So is okay. There are a few levels, right? So just understand what level of conflict are we talking about here? Are we having a factual conflict? Right. That means we are talking about inaccurate stuff. So for example, you tell me that there are 5 chickens on the road, and I tell you there are 7 chickens in the road. We have a conflict. So we're talking about an inaccurate conflict here. We're talking about preference, right? You like to eat beef. I don't like to eat beef. We have to decide on whether or not we should eat beef now. So that's like a conflict. Do we have value disagreement? So, for example, I believe that abortion is not okay. You believe abortion is about women's rights. Okay, so let's talk about the disagreement. Are we talking about security? Are we arguing about how best to secure our future together, right? So this is destabilizing. If we have a conflict at a point of destabilizing, that's what we're talking about. And we have the topic of fear. Are you and I threatening each other on various aspects and perspectives? So before you understand conflict per se, you got to understand at which point, at what level, people are having a unhappiness point about. All right. So here we're talking about factual preferences, values, security, and fear. Translated to the conflict version is inaccurate, distaste, disagreement, destabilizing, and threatening. What level of conflict are you currently having? So, for example, if you're in a company, you suspect one of your team members is trying to outmaneuver you, tell lies about you, spread bad things about you, so that you get bad visibility or you get bad reputation in your company. This falls under what? Right? You claim that he's doing something, you have no proof, and that's what you think. So you would prefer that he stop. So that can be preference level or a factual level. You can disagree with him. But the fact that you have a distaste for this particular person, it's more likely is operating at a level of distaste. And the value system, you guys might have the same sort of value. So for example, 2 crooks, 2 liars, and 2 cheaters can hate each other too. Not at the value level, they agree with each other that you should do your best to get ahead. You actually have a disagreement at the preference level. So understand at what level do you have a disagreement with people. It is perfectly fine for me to have disagreements with you only at one of the levels, and the other 4 levels are perfectly good. Then you just stay away from the points where we have conflicts, or we learn how to disagree, or we learn how to move each other, or we know how to submit to each other's leadership or whatever, right? So understand that there are different kinds of conflicts, different types of conflicts all around. All right. So what conflicts are you currently struggling with? The kind of conflict that I struggle with these days, values. Right, I'm operating a lot of values because I work with highly competent people who are extremely intelligent, very resourceful. They are able to do a lot of things by themselves with or without my input, right? But it is at the value level we disagree. So, for example, I don't think that sales and marketing is the most important thing. I think business development is the most important thing, right? Somebody else will think that business development is too long term and not sustainable. It's better to do sales. So this is a disagreement of value system, right? So I always hang out at the value system. I don't really get much opportunity to disagree with security or fear level because that's a bit too intimate and too close. In the business world, most of the time we have business philosophy, business direction, and values, right? Business is not just about making money, but it's about how we make that money, right? So let's take a look at conflict escalation. I'll go through a few points just to give you a broad overview of the model. I won't be going through in detail per se. I will just talk about the pro tips and how you can use these tips immediately to help yourself in your business. But just know that there's this thing called conflict escalation model, right? This is the conflict escalation model from the Danish Center for Conflict Resolution, right? At the lowest level, the easiest place where you can have disagreement with somebody is when you see things differently. So first, I see things differently from you. I think we should do this and you think you should do that. So that's the example of the disagreement level of conflict. You think we should watch a movie, I think we should have dinner. So we disagree. Now the next level is the personification. You actually take the disagreement and you put it into a person. It is because of you that we are here today. It is you. You are the problem. So next level is you expand the problem. You say that, you know what? The whole reason our family is in the way it is right now is because you have been so selfish. You have been so brutal. You have been so self-centered, right? And it's not the first time we're here. So you talk about how the problem expands. A lot of family members have to do this to each other, right? Next, what's the use of talking to them? Right, they're not going to change. They are totally full of shit. Right, I don't even want to talk to them. So this is where the dialogue is complete. So you just talk to them, they won't listen. This is actually a type of conflict. Next, you project them as an enemy in your life. They are just no good. Nothing they do can ever be good. Their intention is wrong, etc., etc., etc. I myself find myself in this position where I make many people my enemy in a way in my mind. Most of the time, and that's where I am in terms of conflict with them. Next is open hostility. You just whack the fella. And the final type of escalation, and you just walk out of the room completely. So this is a way how conflict escalate. You fight and then you just walk, you just leave. Next time, as the Chinese would call it, the 撕破脸皮. You know what I mean? Like literally, there's no more face, there's no point in meeting, we can't stand each other. It takes up too much emotional effort and energy to be in the same room. So this is how conflict escalates. Take a look at the most pertinent conflict in your life right now. What level are they at? And are they escalating? Are you preventing it from escalating? Are you trying to reopen dialogue so that you can go down to a less complicated level? Okay, so what about pro tips? Okay, now we understand how conflict escalate. So what can you do and I do? Firstly, start from identifying what level of conflict and disagreement you have the other person. Is it at the factual level? Is it on the values level? Is it on the fear level or insecurity level? Figure out which level you're at. Next, time does not make things better. Understand this. Time can make it worse. Time can make it more terrible. What you need to understand is you need to focus on addressing the conflict. If you truly hope that this conflict you truly want this conflict to improve, you need to invest time, effort, energy into it. Identify the level. After you identify level, understand that courage is the key element of vulnerability. For you to go into an engagement with them, for you to go into an engagement with them, you need to make sure that you have the courage, in which to be vulnerable and to start conversation with them, because you must bring it down to open dialogue. You take a look at the previous point I talked about, right? Once dialogue is abandoned, it goes into like a disaster land. You need to bring this down to having dialogues to talk. Once the dialogue has happened, is possible, then you have a chance of actually reversing the conflict. Leaders need to lead by going first. All right, you don't expect your team to go first. If you want to address the conflict, you as a leader, you need to go first. All right, so with that, let's summarize. Pro tips: always start from identifying which level there is, a fear level, is it a factual level, what level they're at. Understand that time doesn't make things better. Courage is the key, so you need to take the lead, you need to go first. You need to start to have dialogue and conversation. But when you do it at the time, you have to approach it from a learning and curiosity perspective and ask them, how can I help you and what is our higher intention? Find common ground and work on to find a middle ground and to take the competition forward. Understand these models, my friends. This is the most powerful model from the Danish Center for Conflict Resolution. I recommend you study more, Google more about this. Just try to make sure you bring it downwards, right? Bring it from open hostility to thinking of them as enemy, re-establish your dialogue. Try to understand the problem is not the problem itself. Problem is not the person, right? You need to understand the context of this all. All right, with that, thank you all so much for tuning in on another episode of Clarity Edge. Do drop by next week if you want to find out more things regarding clarity, and true simplicity, and ultimately profitability. All right, so that's all. Thanks.